Hello everyone, welcome back to Mutual Understanding. This is Marble. It's the 17th of March 2026 and we'll be looking at how Nvidia just changed everything, the GTC breakdown and what it means for you and me. Imagine you're talking to a machine. You don't ask it what something is or how to do something. You just tell it, create this, build that, do this job, and it just does it. Welcome to the new reality. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang just dropped a massive announcement at GTC. And if you think this is just another boring tech presentation about microchips, think again. We're looking at a fundamental shift in how computers interact with our physical world. Nvidia is rolling out a brand new platform they call AI factories. But what does an AI factory actually produce? We are looking at the ultimate productivity hack or a $2.4 trillion threat to the global workforce. Today, we are going to break down the most crucial moments from Jensen's keynote. We'll cut through the tech jargon, figure out what's actually new, and look at the real world opportunities and massive economic threats that this tech is bringing to the table. Let's get into it. So let's start with what you can actually see. Nvidia introduced something called Neuro Rendering and DLSS 5. To understand why is this a big deal, we have to ask, how do we currently build virtual worlds? Historically, it's all structured data, right? Hard coding, you've got geometry, the rigid laws of physics, and it's highly controllable. But that takes massive effort to make it look real. On the flip side, we have generative AI. It can dream up beautiful, hyper-realistic images in seconds, but it's completely unpredictable, and it's basically guessing. Nvidia just fused them together. Yes, they're combining the strict, reliable rules of 3D graphics with the beautiful, probabilistic imagination of AI. So why does this matter? Because they're not just doing this for video games like PUBG or other video games that you or me might not don't really care about. They are taking this exact concept, fusing solid, structured data with generative AI, and then applying it to everything. Think about the giant spreadsheets and databases that run model business. Snowflake, Google BigQuery, Databricks. What happens when you let a creative AI tool loose on the absolute ground truth of global business data? You get AI that isn't just creative. You get AI that you can actually trust. But here is where things take a massive leap. We're moving past the era of chatbot. Jensen revealed that 100% of Nvidia's software engineers are now assisted by AI. So, can you believe that? That means if you were aiming to become Nvidia software engineers, then you should give up because 100% of their software engineers are now assisted by AI. But we aren't just talking about an AI that helps you brainstorm, that acts like an assistant or an encyclopedia for you. We're talking about agentic AI. So what is an agent? Think of an agent as a digital employee. You don't ask it for instructions. You give it a goal. It can read your files, break down a problem step by step, use digital tools, and actually execute the task. So it's not like a secretary that you ask questions, but it's more like an actual employee, the fee earners, that type of employee which you rely on for them to generate and to execute tasks. And the biggest bombshell of the event, a piece of software called OpenClaw, which I've talked about yesterday. OpenClaw is an open source project that blew up so fast, it surpassed 30 years of Linux history in just a few weeks. But what is it? It's essentially the operating system for AI agents. Just like Windows made it possible for anyone to use a computer, a personal computer, OpenClaw makes it possible for anyone to build a personal agent. It can schedule tasks, surf the web, text you and email you, delete emails for you, and it's completely multimodal. Ask yourself, what happens to the job market when anyone can spin up an army of digital workers in a matter of seconds by just typing a single line of code? We'll get to that exact question in a minute. Alright? Now, none of this digital workplace matters if you don't have the horsepower to run it. And Nvidia brought the muscle. Yes, they brought the muscle. Jensen unveiled the Vera Rubin system and a brand new CPU built entirely for this agentic processing. I won't bore you with the extreme tech specs, which I probably don't understand in detail either, but here's what you need to know to understand. And it's insanely efficient. Imagine setting up a massive Rubin-sized supercomputer that used to take 2 days of manual labor. With Vera Rubin, 2 hours. There are no cables, it's 100% liquid cooled using hot water, which actually takes the energy burden off the data center. And the way these chips talk to each other is changing. Nvidia is now using something called co-packaged optics on their Spectrum X switch. In plain English, they are turning electrical signals straight into light, photons, directly on the chip. It is completely revolutionary manufacturing process, and Nvidia is the only company doing it at the volume right now. They are building the physical nervous system of the future, which is insane, right? So when we have the brains, we have the muscle, what happens when you put them inside a body? Jensen brought out Olaf, the snowman, the Disney character, a literal walking, talking robot built in partnership with Disney. But it's not a pre-programmed animal, an animatronic. Olaf was powered by Nvidia's Jetson computer, and it learned how to walk inside a virtual simulation called Omniverse using a physics engine called Newton. Why is this mind-blowing? Because we are no longer programming robots to move. We are letting AI agents to learn how to survive in a physical world by practicing in a virtual one first. So imagine walking into the theme park in 5 years. The characters wandering around won't be actors in suits. They will be full autonomous, physically aware AI agents. So now, we have seen the shiny new tech, but let's take a step back and look at the big picture. First, good news first, maybe we should talk about the opportunities. Hyper efficiency. The barrier to entry for building complex software or running a business just plummeted, with AI making high-level financial and logistical decisions tied directly to structured data. One person with a good idea can act as a CEO of a company staffed entirely by digital agents. It's a gold mine for productivity. The threats. But there is a darker side to this coin. Let's talk about the absolute foundation of our global economy, which is human labor. Right now, human labor makes up the majority of the world's GDP. According to the International Labour Organization, labor's share of global income sits at roughly 52.4%. That means over half of the economic value generated on Earth flows directly into our hands, into the hands of working people as salaries. But ask yourself, what happens when the doer is no longer human? If AI agents shifts from just answering our questions to doing the actual work, drafting the contracts, analyzing the data, plotting graphs, preparing charts, running the logistics, doing the maths, what happens to that 52% of the global share, the labor share of global income? What happens to the junior associates, the analysts, and the everyday knowledge workers? We are already seeing a massive wealth transfer. The ILO recently reported that over the last 2 decades, the labor share of global GDP has dropped, representing a staggering loss of $2.4 trillion from the workers' pockets into corporate capital. Now, inject an army of highly efficient open source AI agents like OpenClaw into the mix. We aren't just looking at disruption in the labor market, we are looking at a potential free fall. We are shifting from an economy of human creators to an economy of AI managers. The wealth that used to pay millions of salaries is going to consolidate directly into the hands of the very few companies that own the infrastructure, which brings us to the final massive threat. Who is holding them accountable? Nvidia, think about it, Nvidia isn't just selling chips anymore. They're selling the entire ecosystem like what Tesla did. Right? They're selling the hardware, the networking, the software, the operating system. And if one company controls the foundational layer of the next industrial revolution, what happens next? So the age of AI chatbot is officially over, and the age of the AI agent is here. Watching this demo, I couldn't help but think of Westworld. Remember that HBO drama from apparently many years ago, given how much dust is on that memory, where rich folks visited a futuristic theme park populated entirely by robotics NPCs. Honestly, when that show aired, it felt like a distant science fiction to me. But watching the GTC today, it's starting to look like a documentary detailing in the next few years. So that's making that reference officially confirms how old I am, thanks to Nvidia. But I'm not sure if anyone understands which movie am I talking about. It is the HBO drama Westworld. It depicts a technologically advanced Western themed, cowboy themed amusement park populated by hundreds of android hosts, like those humanoids and or NPCs, and those hosts, quote unquote hosts, are incredibly lifelike, and they're all, I think they're all, not all of them are female. They're incredibly lifelike, and they're programmed with complex backstories and narratives. And then those wealthy guests would pay to visit the park and live out their fantasies, which often involve indulging in violence or extreme behaviors like killing, raping with the host without consequence. So yeah, and spoiler alert, after the core story of the Westworld is about these robots gaining consciousness and rebelling against their human creators. So with that, it's actually kind of terrifying. Alright, that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, comment, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.